Hello everyone watching at home. Welcome to Adelaide Eternal. We are here with the Vintage Challenge, and I'm Sarven McLinton. Next to me in the booth here is Beckett Wolfe.
G'day guys.
So we have a special one for you today. We actually have Beckett Wolfe on the right of your screen. On the left-hand side, we have one of our regulars, a combo aficionado in the form of Michael Hearn. Whose list shall we look at first?
Let's look at Michael's.
All right, so on Michael's list, you will note that we have basically a Tendrils of Agony win via Paradoxical Outcome powering it out. We also have some new cards in the form of Teferi Time Raveler and Narset Parter of Veils. What do you think about these?
Yeah, it's also got Lavinia. So he's just sort of mashing a lot of good new cards. He's also got Bolas's Citadel. Good
nice.
New cards, but at the end of the day, it's a Paradoxical deck, right? So if you're running 4 Paradoxicals and a bunch of Vintage Rocks, you're going to do well.
Yeah, I love it. So we'll see how quickly he goes off. We might flash back to his sideboard a little bit later on, and we'll see if this mashup of fair cards and unfair cards can contest with something that we think is probably a mashup of unfair cards, right? Which is your deck.
Yeah, I'm always tinkering with my deck, but I've been practicing a lot on Moto over the last couple of weeks, even though, the vintage scene on Moto is really, really big. So I think Oath is still really strong. I've added 3 Force of Vigors to my sideboard. I'm still respecting Dredge because Dredge is really strong right now. But this is basically the same list I've been running. It's Oath of Druids to try to find Runescarred Demon, and then Runescarred Demon will search for Time Walk, and then you'll do it again, Regrowth Time Walk. That's the basis of the deck.
Nice. You'll note that there are 4 Mental Misstep in the list. This is because the event was just before the actual recent restrictions. So it may or may not actually really come up in this one. There was one particular round wherein the Hearn deck is featured, but we're not going to really bother showing that one. It's outdated now, isn't it? You can't only have one of them.
And speaking on the missteps, I only actually just went up to 4 recently. I had about 2 or 3 flex spots, and they're always a bit of fluff, a bit of fun, like something I was more trialing to see if it's good. And I decided for this tournament, instead of playing the fluff, I'll just cut them. Stuff like Jace Architect of Thought or Misdirection. I cut the fluff, and I was just like, well, misstep's always going to be good for misstep. So this list, I think, is perfectly fine if you just have the one misstep and put in Gitaxian Probe and a few flex spots.
Because you would normally be on 3 anyway, so you can add a Spell Pierce or a Thought Seize or something. It's not really going to do much different there. We'll also point you out to the audience here. This is Beckett Wolfe in his winning mode. He's in his player profile here, winning a massive uncut sheet. And maybe you're going to show some of that nous and power of a Hall of Heroes player in this match. Shall we go down to it?
Let's check it out.
So the players have just drawn their 7s. And do you remember if you mulliganed much this game?
I don't think I mulled much at all in the tournament. I guess we'll find out. It's the new mulligan rule, of course.
Here's a hand. You got an Oath, you got... Oh, this is beautiful. You got the actual Oath combo. You've got Ancestral Recall. You've got Vampiric Tutor and Mox Jet and Ample Land. And was a Strip Mine or something as well?
No, I think it's Mana Confluence, Forbidden Orchid.
Okay.
So it is the combo. And then if the combo gets stifled somehow, then I've still got at least an ACOR and a Vamp Tutor.
Nice.
It's pretty...
Interesting. Can you actually stifle the combo? You can, can't you?
I wasn't referring to the card stifle. Magic's been around for...
Ooh, look at this. Yeah, so there's a Narset and a Ponder and a Chain of Vapor or something in the opening hand.
Mox Emerald as well. So he's got a decent hand. Find out who's on the play. So many times you can have this perfect hand of Vintage and then you lose turn 1 or get interacted with.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Mana Crypt.
This is a great opener, right? Anytime the Paradoxical deck has a turn 1 busted mana like Mana Vault or Mana Crypt.
For me, Crypt is
terrifying, isn't it?
Probably the most powerful. Better than Sol Ring, better than Vault, I think.
Oh yeah, and how often are you afraid of turn 1 Tinker as well? Sometimes a Blightsteel comes out and you just go, ugh. Well, this is a floating 1 colourless mana with a Demonic Tutor. If there's 1 colourless mana floating, what do you get? Like a Sol Ring, and just power it out, and then
you could do
play
that.
Something turn?
Maybe he's saying, I've got enough mana anyway. I'll just get Lodestone, not Lodestone Golem, the
Paradoxical
Hearn. I was going to say
Hearn, yeah. Oof. Yeah, turn 2. I don't think he's playing Hearn there. I think that's a totally different... we're just having a look at his list right now. Black Lotus, yeah. That makes more sense. Because he's more so comboing off than...
he's going for it.
Yeah, he's
now
going for it this turn. Yeah. So one colourless, 3 blue.
Narset, okay.
Narset, beautiful.
And it's disciplined. Like, he could have tried to get for a bit of value, but he's saying, I'm going to get something off this Narset, and it might totally ruin my day.
Yeah, well, when you're on the play and you get a Narset out, and you also have a Ponder as well, that Lotus play was kind of like a Cabal ritual. Is that what the dark demonic tutor was? Cabal ritual that made blue. So Cabal ritual and some way to convert it, not Manamorphose because that gets your card. But basically, he's recognised, well, if I'm against another blue deck and I'm passing the turn, why not pass with a Narset up?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also have the opportunity to tick it down and grab a paradoxical outcome or something.
Narset's so hard to do with Vintage because there's no like turn to Tarmogoyf. I mean, okay, that's a bad example. There are turn to Tarmogoyfs, but there's not many. It's not a very creature-based format, so you can just keep the Narset around on one, and someone's going to have to use a spot removal like a Pyroblast or an Abrupt Decay to actually remove it.
That's so true. When you look at the way that Narset lines up in Legacy and Highlander, where she can actually be attacked quite often, it's quite different, isn't it?
Yeah, and in Modern, it hasn't been around long enough to really know, but it's not going to be as strong. But of course, I'm just going to go for it here. I've played...
Turns out you didn't need a Ponder or a Preordain or something, hey?
Yeah, look, I've played this deck for a while, and I used to play it a lot like Control-y, and if I've got Card Advantage, I might not like run out the Oath, I might wait till I got Force, and now I just treat it is a combo deck. My list is a combo deck. I'm going to play for that combo. Worst case scenario, this gets spot removed. I can untap and I can Vamp Tutor in my upkeep to run back the Oath. Yeah. And if you can get rid of 2 Oaths and still stabilize...
in the main deck?
In the main deck, and still stabilize and still... progress your own board, then kudos to you.
Yep, well, I like it. That's a good plan. So here's a nice activation number 2. How much of an approximation is it of Dig Through Time here?
It is very similar. It's like Dig Through Time and Leovold, but without the creature, isn't it?
Yeah, and the fact that you can play Narset on turn 1, whereas Dig Through Time is very, very rarely played on turn 1.
I'll pay that, absolutely, yeah. And you can... bound to hit something, right? Especially in Vintage with all the... it's non-creature, right?
Non-creature.
So you're bound to hit even a Mox at the very least.
That's it. Dig Through Time allows you to get things like, say, Library of Alexandria, which is occasionally something you do want to grab off a Dig Through Time, but for the most part, Narset does a really, really nice little impersonation of it. And it's going to be, pretty strong when he's going to get to Time Walk into... 3 more damage. No. Time Walk into trying to find an answer for this Oath. But I don't think he has many answers, main deck. If any. No, Chain of Vapor. He's got Chain of Vapor in hand. So this Time Walk might actually be a lot more powerful than I thought it was. I remember seeing in the opening hand Chain of Vapor, so
yes.
Let's see.
Well, I don't really remember, and I don't want to spoil, but I think there is a Chain of Vapor misstep on the top here.
Yeah, you just have to.
I mean, he's almost probably run that out as a bait spell, right?
Just go, hey, do you have a misstep? Counter this instead of my Chain of Vapor.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Although, even then, I'm not super worried, because this is what I mean. He's dealing with my board, but is he progressing his own? Not really. And no criticism to Michael. He has to respect the Oath.
Yep.
But, that's what I mean by kudos to you. If you can deal with 2 Oaths and still progress your board, then you deserve to win it. But he's going to be able to deal with it, but I don't think he's going to be able to, put out any... Like, even a Paradoxical here is good.
What do you think
but it's
about...
not backbreaking.
For sure. What do you think about no Chain of Vapor there? Is he playing around the fact that you could sacrifice a land to bounce something? I don't think... Because he's got the Time Walk anyway. It might be mana efficient just to chain.
Because you know you're always going to chain?
Yeah, because you're definitely going to chain anyway. And then that way it frees you up for a bigger Paradoxical the next turn, just having an extra mana available.
The only thing I can think of is he's thinking he might be able to go off himself, and he can chain his own his own mana crypt and then go off and add to his storm count for tendrils.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yep, you're absolutely right.
He's going, look, he can... Well, it's exactly what I was just saying before. that's his way of progressing his own board. You know, he realizes maybe he can't win just by chanting oath. He's going to have to do something special, and that something special includes chaining something of his own.
Yeah.
And then he's always, worst case scenario, can just chain my oath if he runs out of gas.
Yep, absolutely.
But Yawgmoth is pretty strong here.
Yeah, he's on Storm Count too because he gets a Lotus back. And for those of you who are looking at that signature across the Lotus...
Is that Christopher Roach?
No, so the actual signature itself...
Is it Beckett Wolfe?
It's really funny because...
could you imagine if he got me to sign him?
Michael told me a story about how when he was buying the Black Lotus from a mate, he purchased it and he handed over the money or whatever it was, and his mate just goes, "Oh, that's right, I'll just sign it for you." Gets a texter out and just does a signature straight across the. He does it straight across, and story. Michael just has this like heart stuck in his throat. There's this double sleeve on it.
Oh my
he was intentionally just doing it for the lols. Look, what a mate's for if not that?
That's terrifying. I've got a mountain signed by just some local Adelaide player.
Oh yeah,
Ben Freeling, and it looks like quite nice. And I'm like, you know what?
Signed nice.
No one's gonna know that it's not the artist or whatever.
Yeah, there's a whole kind of circle of people who authenticate signatures and that kind of thing, and they would be aghast to hear that, I'm sure. So this turn, being able to replay a fetch land from the graveyard,
he's got a ponder, right?
He's got a ponder. He's got a time walk.
Ponder is very good.
He's got a top.
Just doing it to time walk again is very wheel spinny.
And Narset is so different here. If that Narset is a Jace and you time walk 2 times,
or a Leovold,
so good. Or a Leovold, it's so good. You're doing something. But when it's a Narset is best thought of as a dig through time for its card advantage. Then after that, it's a lock piece, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's not going to give.
It's a lock piece with 1 life.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm interested to see what he cobbles together here. But if he's shuffled and then looked going with a ponder, then it's okay. So fetch land shuffled away. Mystical Tutor. This is probably going to be for Tinker or some such. Twister. Yeah. Okay. Right. I see. Your hand's quite low too as well. But he's got a bigger. No. Of course, Twister. Of course, you don't get any cards.
It's truth.
Now you're remembering. I'm sure you already knew this was coming. Yeah, you were definitely remembering it. This is brand new for me, and yeah, this is terrifying.
Well, there's a whole vintage deck devoted to this. You play like Leovold, Notion Thief, Narset, and then you play Wheel of Fortune, Twister, and
good.
There's a couple of other not as good 3-mana effects that do the similar thing.
Love it.
So, yep, I shuffle it all up, and then I draw one.
Were you like shuffling and you're kind of eagerly thinking about, these cards you're going to get, but no.
I think when I first saw it, I was like,
Twister, that's fine. And
I think I figured it out at the same time that we have just now in the commentary box.
Right.
And then I realised I didn't let him cut, so I put it back in shuffle.
Fair enough. That's fair. So I think that the fact that there is a time walk no, there isn't. Time walk is gone. It got shuffled back in.
Got twisted, but he didn't have the mana.
He didn't have the mana to cast it. That's why he was deliberating so much about it.
The twist is better than time walk, I think. Time walk is very safe, but at the end of the day, you time walk and then do what?
Yeah, you go time walk for what? It sounds like a song.
His time walk was in his hand, right? So maybe he could have talked and then twisted the next turn. So maybe he should have talked.
Maybe just to have untapped mana, you mean? But maybe he's banking on the fact that if he exiles a time walk from his deck, it's worse. But I think he's still time walk.
Yeah, right? I think maybe he wanted to time walk there.
Yep.
And
then just have the Twister on top of his deck, ready to go.
Yeah. Well, Twister was in his hand, right?
Oh, that's because it was on top of the deck, right? Because of mystical tutor.
But he had to have cast it to be able. He had to have it in hand for him to be able to cast it.
Yeah.
So
you're right. So he
So he could have
talked
or something for it. It just means he's got a little bit of extra mana and time walks in the exile pile.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly better, but not by much.
But
you know what? Like he's still got to find an answer for Oath. Because if I hit Griselbrand, okay, Griselbrand won't draw me any cards.
I think the Chain of Vapor that's been in his hand is a thing that he's just banking on. He's going to go to...
But he would have twisted it away.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm just dreaming that I saw Chain of Vapor. I was
could have been Ponder.
Yeah, it could have just been Ponder. I was so kind of certain it was Chain because I saw the edge of the card, but when you think about it... Okay, we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. So
because he had an extra mana, so you would think that it's worth chaining there.
Yeah, for sure. So brainstorming here. So you've basically seen 10 cards, maybe.
He's really scared of the Oath. He's looking for something.
Yeah, digging deep down.
They're all going to exile because Yawgmoth is still active.
Yeah, it's something that people sometimes forget. When that even though many other things have happened, reshuffled.
Well, this is what I mean. He goes to swing, but I think that's actually got no. It doesn't have Summoning Sickness, of course. I cast it in my turn, but yeah, it's been a very long turn, hasn't it?
So Storm Counter's 6, Storm Counter's 8, yeah, with a 2 Moxen. I mean, a cheeky that would be funny. He would actually need a Mana Crypt, which he's already got out, so or maybe another Mox and Soul Ring or something. But if that was the case, he would have just jammed it. There's no way he's got that. He's really deliberating about, can I pass the turn? And there are times where you can just pass the turn to the other person, but DT.
Okay, what have we got?
DT for Chain of Vapor and a Mox Sapphire in hand. I mean, there's obviously no Mox Sapphire in hand, otherwise it would have been just jammed.
Who knows? DT for another, like a wheel effect?
Does the D in DT stand for Desperation?
Chain
of Vapor. Okay. So is he planning maybe to Chain of Vapor the actual creature? Because that could be a play as long as you don't flip Runescarred Demon, which gives you Time
Lotus Petal. So he's got the chain.
Oh, Lotus Petal chain, nice.
And he didn't chain my Oath. He
changed the token.
His token, which gives me a bit more mana to play with, but it just means I don't tap 2, I guess.
He just really didn't want you to be able to send it back to him.
Not sure. Yeah, I don't know what I'd bounce. Like, probably Nars it, but I don't even think I would.
Because you wouldn't want to bounce Nars.
I think I would in that scenario just because I've got Acol in hand.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have Acol in hand, I certainly wouldn't bother because it just gives him extra D3 time gas. Triggers.
All right. Well, didn't that feel like a lot of inevitability where, you just kind of... your opponent just keeps trying to find that answer, but you're the one asking the question, and you're kind of sitting back going, you have to do something. I'm waiting for it, and then when it does happen, you go, okay, fair dues.
He was doing quite a lot, but that's it. I've got to ask the question.
I like how your graveyard just continued to go further down. just Mind Break Trap, what looks like the top of a scrub land, which it definitely isn't, and then unknown cards beyond that.
I think
what is that?
It's Memory's Journey.
No, the one that's on top of Mind Break Trap.
Oh, it's
it looks like the top of Scrubland, like a black bordered FBB browse.
Oh yeah, I'll pay that. Who knows?
So here comes Force of Will.
It's Socks Foreign Black Border Trop.
Ah, nice.
I think.
Yeah, I knew I could recognise as FBB kind of.
Yes, this is the thing that I do. I search for Time Walk, and then I cast Time Walk.
Yeah, but I think it's Force of Will.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So a cheeky little 1 damage in. Gets in there.
Yep, you got to be careful though, because sometimes people swing and you go to block, and then that means you can't trigger your Oath again. You're like, ugh. Oh. But I've got the second. I've got the second Orchid, so that's okay.
Makes sense.
And I'm feeling pretty good.
I believe it is Orchard, not Orchid.
I like to say awkward because it's awkward.
This is. Got a comment on a video.
I'm pretty confident here that even with the Force though, because it's the same logic as before. If he's got Force of Will in hand, it means he doesn't have Bolas's Citadel in hand.
Yeah,
less likely to. And I'm just inevitably going to trigger Oath again. And I've got Memory's Journey here to flashback Time Walk. You can't see it because it's off the screen a bit, but pay green, put Time Walk back into my deck, and then search for Time Walk. This is with the Runescarred Demon trigger on the stack. I search for Time Walk, and then I do it all again.
And even if he, say, Force of Wills your Memory's Journey, But then you just use the trigger to find Yawgmoth's Will.
Yeah, right? That's right.
Oh, but Yawgmoth's Will is...
Well, he could force the Time Walk, I guess.
Yeah, he can force a Time Walk.
But it's the same logic again.
Exactly.
When if he's got force, that means he doesn't have gas, which means I can swing with Runescarred now. And I think I've even still got Echo on hand, so I could even swing Narset and draw 3, or just pressure his life total. And I think I searched Buck Lotus because I have Yawgmoths in hand.
Maybe you don't have A-Call in hand because
I think I do.
You time twisted it away.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's why it's no point.
Okay, so Regrowth.
Regrowth for Time Walk seems alright. Oh, Regrowth for your will, even better. Yes. How good is that?
And there's a lot of Moxen. Yeah, Yawgmoth's really quite good in this in this deck because you get such a big graveyard and you've got demonic tutors in the form of demonic tutor, vamp tutor, imperial seal, and the 2 runes cards. So there's a lot of tutoring, which is why my deck's got quite a few one-offs. I mean, all vintage decks do. It's almost like Highlander in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something like 63-point Highlander.
With the consistency of being able to play 4 rubs when you need them.
Yep, you're allowed to. You know, it's like they have cards with specific text on the bottom. You may play up to 4 of this in your deck, like Relentless Rats, but in Highlander, the version. Oath of Druids, you may play up to 4 of this in your deck.
So just swinging him because I've got a Time Walk on the stack.
Yeah, and you got lethal in the air, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't even blow you out, but the only thing that could interact with you is like a Chain of Vapor on one of them just to buy him an extra turn, but that's not going to win the game. Yeah. That was really interesting to see. Watching it back, I'm sure that Michael will see different lines, and then we watch this back again, we'll see even more different lines of what he could do to stabilize in that situation, and maybe buy an extra turn in order to start comboing off himself. But he opted for the lines that drew the most number of cards, which gave him the most outs. You got this Time Twister again, but it just didn't line up. He ended up getting a bunch of Force of Wills instead of Paradoxical Outcomes.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, he's not a control deck, is he? So he's got 2 Chain of Vapors in the deck, but his likelihood of being able to consistently answer my threat once it's already deployed is pretty low. And I think he probably just wanted to go off himself. I think that's how you face it. You just got to be faster. But I presented a turn 1 threat, which leads to a turn 2 win. Yes, I time walked, but I didn't pass the turn after that. So, well, he forced, so I did. But I'm presenting basically a turn 2 win. So it's it's a tough question to ask.
Yeah, and so do you like how Force of Will compared to Force of Negation in different formats, obviously, is kind of a I'm trying to think of how to express this. Look at the way that the Force of Wills were used in this match. They were used to stop your opponent from going off when you're also a combo deck. Usually, if the Force of Will is doing the most work when you're the Paradoxical Outcome deck, you're casting Paradoxical Outcome, they try to stop your Paradoxical Outcome, and you protect it with Force of Will, and then you keep going, and you're like, I'm so far ahead. When you're on the back foot,
we're
not
not
the one
control
forcing.
decks, are we?
Yeah, exactly. You're not control decks, and so when you're using that to kind of stop your opponent, it usually means your primary game plan has gone wrong, and that usually means that your the deck is operating in its tier 7 place. It doesn't want to be there, but it's able to.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm wondering, therefore, what is the place for Force of Negation? Because maybe, as you say, in control, but even then, how many control decks want to run like 6 Force of Will effects?
Yeah, sometimes like a Monastery Mentor type decks, where they're kind of like, okay, I'll play my Mentor, pass the turn. They start to do something, you Force of Negation, you make a token, you go to your turn.
So I don't think you want 4 forces and 4 Force of Negations.
No, you don't.
Because it's just such a pain on your hand.
It's generally the fairer you are and the more trouble you have with unfair decks, the more likely you want to have a 5th Force of Will, which is going to be Force of Negation.
Yeah. So for me,
there's Blightsteel, Flusterstorm, and out go Mystical Tutor. But wait, Mystical Tutor finds a Tinker.
I thought that was Chain of Vapor that he took out, and Bolas' Citadel. So maybe he's saying, Chain of Vapor was what he needed the last game, but that's not the game plan that wins.
Interesting.
The game plan that wins is the game plan that goes for it himself.
Yeah, when you're a deck like this, you so often want to keep cards like Mystical Tutor in because they just kind of go turn 1 Mystical into turn 2 Tinker. You know, that kind of a nasty business type of degenerate.
Well, also
opener.
a lot of Oath decks are control decks.
Yeah,
They're like control decks that splash, and they don't even run 4 Oaths. Sometimes they just run like 3 Oath, 3 Forbidden Orchid, just as a win con. You know, in the same way that like people are now playing Stoneforge Mystic in Modern as like, well, it's a control deck, but we just got
my
3
2-mana win con.
Yeah, that's my 2-mana win con. But I'm a devoted combo deck, and I think you can tell once you see a card like Imperial Seal. Then that's the difference.
Sign.
You do not play Imperial Seal in control, but you definitely
play Mystical Tutor in the occasional control deck for those particular types of
that's right.
draws. So your hand looks like it's got Jet, Preordain, Trop. What else did you see in there?
Yeah. I saw maybe a bit too many lands, but
is that okay in this matchup? Maybe it's not okay. Maybe it's a bit terrifying if you've got too many lands. Against the control deck,
it might also have an Oath, though.
Yeah, if you have an Oath, you just don't really...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you just keep it. How often do you have an Oath and you go turn 1 Oath and they Force of Will it? 40% of the time? It's about the odds of someone having Force of Will in their 7, right?
I think it's less than 40%, but I think the chance they also have something like Fragmentize.
Yeah, that adds it.
Not in this matchup, but they've got another piece of interaction.
It's about 50-50 maybe.
Then maybe it's like, it's about 50-50. A little less. I think I jam it.
Yeah. You're still favoured, right? It's more than 50% that you're going to untap and win with it.
Yes.
Yeah, so then you just still...
And as I said, I don't try to wait for Force of Wills, because if you try to wait for Force of Wills, especially against combo, then they can just kill you, before you might as well just put it in.
Yeah. Oh, the Blight's still in hand. Oh, the London Mulligan. What a champion. Blight's still back in the deck. So good. Exactly where you want him. The bottom of the deck so you don't actually draw him.
Yeah, that's perfect. Although there's going to be a fetch land here anyway. Oh. Yeah, that London Mulligan is...
it changes things, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it definitely makes...
it's good for me as well. I get to sink my little demons.
Yeah, it definitely makes kind of either toolbox decks or decks that are degenerate combo decks and turn 1 decks, and also decks that require things to be in your deck, like Emrakul. You need that Emrakul in your deck, but you don't want it in your hand, or these types of things. The London Mulligan helps a lot.
I think it's a really good way as well, because that's why people love Brainstorm so much, among other things.
Choice.
You will choice in the ability to genuinely manipulate a hand, rather than manipulate the top. Devil. Manipulate the actual hand itself. Because like Ponder, Preordain manipulate your following draws, but Brainstorm's unique in that sense, and the London Mulligan lets you do that as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Brainstorm, exactly where you want it on the stack. the in
Vintage, it's always hard to say that.
Yeah, that's right. Like, Brainstorm is played so differently in Vintage than...
And there's only one of them as well. So.
Yeah, there's one, and normally you'd think, there's only one Brainstorm, therefore it's worth more, so I should hold on to it a lot longer.
Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite. Yeah. It's actually like, okay, no, in Vintage, my deck is more degenerate, so brainstorming early and brainstorming into Lotus, and then going off like with a NASA on turn 1, that's great.
Yeah.
The upside is so much huger than Legacy, where you're like, people throw away their brainstorm. Oh, one land hand. That was fine though. One land hand after a Multi 6 with a brainstorm. That seems totally okay. But he got punished.
And I had Preordain there, so that's probably why I kept the land heavy hand. Time Walk's pretty bad.
Yeah, the Time Walk's just to get rid of a card off the top.
Yeah, okay.
So you got Force of Will, no blue card? Or no, was that Show and Tell?
I've got Show and Tell,
okay.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to just churn through the deck, because he knows that if he's now in the clear, the next card on the top of his deck is a new card, and he needs to get to it as quickly as possible. So he's done what he can. Sometimes you just have to make sad Time Walks. Explore, take 3 to 6 damage.
Take one and a half
Take
damage.
1.5 damage. That's a bad Explore. You may play a land. You don't have to have one. Yeah, rough. Well, you're going to be in hardcast Force of Will territory soon, which, when your opponent is so stuck on mana.
I'm pretty scared of Bolas' Citadel, which is an artifact.
Would it have been so funny if it wasn't London Mulliganed away and he just plays a Blightsteel and then you pass a turn to him and you die? Oh, man. The time, we were just talking about how good it is to put away Blightsteel. Oh, this is good. I mean, if there was ever a way to get past Grizzlebrand, aside from Blightsteel...
I think if that was Runescarred Demon, not Grizzlebrand, he would have been in a decent spot.
Yeah.
I think I'm still ahead.
You're still ahead, but if he
that
vomits his hand... If this top card of his deck is like Black Lotus...
But Grizzlebrand...
Or even Tolarian Academy, that could be a good top deck.
Because, I mean, does he even run Swords to Plowshares? I don't think he does.
No, he wouldn't.
The only way he can get me is if he tries to Chain of Vapor, and we know he started out at least one. But if he tries to Chain of Vapor me, and I get greedy, draw 7, and then he's able to Time Walk, but he can't even Time Walk. So I think as soon as I connect, I think that's got to be it, right?
Yeah, once you connect for the first 7 life, it's just so far in your favour post board because you've got answers for Paradoxical Outcome.
I've got Force of Vigors, and I've got
exactly.
Yeah, and I've got Force of Wheels and Foster Storms.
And the hidden mode on Force of Vigor, where he plays a land, and then he goes Paradoxical Outcome on 2 Moxen, and you go pay 4 mana, destroy these 2, and they're like, oh, what? Yeah, you can pay for it. And then they do the second one, and you pitch the other Force of Vigor to some other green spell, Nature's Claim or something.
So discarding some lands to hand size there, and just passing turn. I think I had things to cast, but I think I can just ride the Grizzlebrand to victory, and I can just keep up Force of Wills. So. Yeah. There we go. Oh, and he drew the
Blightsteel the turn after, literally the turn after the show and tell comes out. Oh man, that must be really frustrating. Are you going, why didn't you play this? Yeah, I drew it. Oh, that's so rough. Looking for a land, draws Blightsteel, the literal card you do not want to draw. Wow. Well, that was a one-sided game after an early oath and then an early show and tell. But we're probably going to see a little bit more of you. You're going to be a bit of a king of the hill today, aren't you?
Well, I'm certainly going to be in the next round. So I'm sure you guys are going to look forward to seeing me in action there.
All right, we'll see you in round 2.